Your radio is currently tuned to Nova Southeastern's Mako Radio, broadcasting on WKPX 88.5 FM Sunrise. Welcome to episode 6 of Inside the Tank, presented by Quarterdeck. I'm your host, Josh Raphael. Let's kick things off tonight with our first guest, head coach for the men's basketball team, Jim Crutchfield, and NSU forward, Shane Hunter. And what was that feeling like? I mean, you've had quite the career as a coach. What was that feeling like to finally win your first national championship?
It was good. I know, Shane, it's probably good for you. It was good for me. And I got that, when you said you finally won one. I never felt that way. I never felt like the pressure's off or, there was something missing in my life. I didn't feel that way. I was ecstatic to win a championship. And I had been there a few times. I'd been there actually, I think that was my eighth trip to the Elite Eight. But I didn't feel like, I wasn't going to go through life the rest of my life without a national championship. But it sure felt good.
And Shane, how did you feel? I mean, you've been on this NSU basketball team for quite some time, too. How did it feel to finally win a championship?
It was awesome. I think same thing. It goes back to the relationships that we built over the years. We won it as a team, but we won it with 15 of my best friends. So it was something definitely very special.
Yeah, and obviously, kind of not seeing the floor as much last year. Now you're kind of more of a main focal point on the team. What did you kind of change as a player going into this season, knowing that you're going to have to step up big for your team?
Self-confidence is definitely a big one. Also confidence that the coaches give me, teammates give me. But I think the 3 years previous to this year was just playing that role, dominating the role, and then when the opportunity comes, just to be ready. So.
And, Coach, obviously you guys play a unique style of play that a lot of other teams don't play. So kind of how was the transition in terms of obviously you have a bunch of new additions and kind of coming in. Was that transition having those guys come in to adapt to that Sharks playing style?
Almost shocking that these guys have adapted that well. We have a handful of guys that were here in the past, like Shane, which helps a lot. We've got a couple assistant coaches in Mike and Nick that are obviously instrumental in making sure these guys know what we expect out of them, but still to bring 10 guys in and say this is how we play. The good thing was I don't think we shocked anybody. I mean, we got some new guys here. I think we gave them warning, this is how we play. It wasn't like they come in and say, wait a second, we press, and they weren't shocked by that. But yet every recruit, every new player, let's put it this way. I've been at this for a while. No recruit has ever sat across from me when I was recruiting them and said, Coach, I'm more of a slow-down type of guy.
Yeah.
They all think that they're an up-tempo guy. But when you have to deny an inbounds pass and you get a trap and then chase and then do it again and again and again, that part is, it's kind of like, wow, welcome to how this really works. Yeah. And I think they've adapted pretty well. It is amazing that's, out of the 110 points scored last year in the national championship game, only 5 of them are back on the court this year. The other 105 points are gone. But these guys just won a conference championship down here in one of the best conferences in the country.
Yeah. And Shane, like I said, you've been here for quite some time. You went to St. Thomas, and that's a little bit of a slower style of play of basketball. I know you guys play a lot of zone over there, so kind of talk to me about how you adapted coming in as a freshman to this Sharks playing style.
Well, it took some time. I came in, I struggled. I think a lot of freshmen come into the system and struggle just from the speed, one, and then the level of competition as another. But I had great player mentors when I was here. Mark Matthews, Sekou Silla, RJ Sunahara, all my position, all really, really great players. So I think competing against them every day in practice, especially that COVID year with Sekou and RJ, made me a much better player.
And, Coach, not only did you lose, obviously, a bulk of your roster, but you lost your associate head coach, and Jordan Fields now coaching at Gannon, and they're playing really well. How did that loss affect the program?
It affected, I think, a lot. I mean, Jordan Fee was a huge part of our program, and my assistant coaches have always been a huge part of my program, wherever I've been, and every year. The thing that made it less of a situation where we really got in trouble was the fact that I had Nick Smith and Mike Chalice to step up. And what hasn't happened, Jordan, what you don't see, you see us winning basketball games. You don't see the ton of stuff underneath of that that has to be done. I mean, in yesterday's trip, making sure the bus is on time, ordering the bus, getting the food there, every detail of the uniforms and everything. I don't do any of that. And it wasn't like I was going to say, wow, Jordan's not here, I have to start doing that. I said, Jordan's not here, somebody else is going to start doing all the work. And Nick and Mike have stepped up and done that. And if you look at what Jordan Fee has done at Gannon, it's almost amazing. And when you talk about style of play, last year's national championship game was probably the greatest testament to the way we play the game, because there's 315 teams in the country, and two of them played this exact same style. West Liberty University, where I came from, and Nova Southeastern, and they were 1-2, and they met in the national championship games. They were 1-2 the previous year, which is a great testament. Jordan Fee takes this style of play to Gannon University, and they're 23-2, ranked number 1 in the Atlantic region, and number 5 in the national polls. And their team went 3-23 last year. And Mike Lamberti, the top 4 scoring teams in the country are Gannon 1, Nova 2, West Lib 3, and Coker, which is my former player at West Liberty and Ben Hallett's former assistant coach at West Liberty. There's a style of play. It's not easy to do. It's really difficult to do. It's hard to coach. It's hard to play. But if you can pull it off, it's hard to beat. And I feel like, the testament to these guys, what they've done, a lot of new guys and past guys stepping up, obviously Shane, being at the forefront of that, it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, and Shane, Coach just mentioned how you've stepped up as a leader. How have you stepped up as a leader?
Well, one thing is 10 new guys coming in to the system in the school. I've been here longer than me, Mike Moore, and Tommy Sala have been here for quite a while now. But try to lead by example, right? Try to be as positive as I can every day. Just be grateful to be wearing the jersey, practicing with the fellas. Try to lead by example.
Yeah, what kind of goals did you have coming into this year? Obviously, this is, you're reaching kind of latter end of your Shark basketball career. Are there some goals kind of like that you had in mind?
I didn't make too many personal goals, but definitely another conference championship. That's one. I've done it twice since I've been here. It's a lot of fun to win games, but I didn't make too many personal goals from the start of the season. I'm just trying to battle every day, keep competing.
And Coach, earlier in the season, I don't really know if it's really a sore subject, but you guys lost your first game in almost 2 years. And a lot of teams, they kind of get disappointed from that, but I mean, you guys picked it right back up, and you guys are looking like a well-oiled machine. Kind of talk to me about kind of how the team's morale was after that first loss.
I think they were okay, and it's still kind of mind-boggling to me that we won that many games in a row. And I know it was 2 years ago I stepped up in front of the team at the start of the year, and Shane, you probably remember saying, look, nobody goes undefeated. Mm-hmm. And then we did in the regular season. And then last year I said, okay, it happened last year, but remember, no one in basketball really goes undefeated. You lose games here and there. And then we won them all the way through. So I know they probably don't trust me anymore, but no one goes undefeated in the game of basketball. Somewhere the ball doesn't go in that night, you get a few bad calls, and you lose a basketball game. And we did drop a couple. But, it's when you talk about the national championship, that's great, and a tournament championship is great. But I have always probably appreciated more the season's conference champion more than either one of those, because it is the culmination of the whole season and the preseason, and endure through 30 games to try to win over and over again, and the ability to bounce back after a loss. If you lose in a tournament, you don't have to bounce back. You just pack your bags and go home, and it's over. You lose in the season, you have to show a little bit of resilience. And I think these guys, they did. We had a tough game up at Florida Tech. Since then, I think we've reeled off maybe 9 or 10 in a row. And we could have lost a game in there too, possibly, but I think we would still be okay. And, the culmination of that is a conference season championship, which these guys have put that together. The tournaments, they're like bonus things at the end of the year for me. These things where you get out and play this and we're going to get in two of them. You know, we're guaranteed we're going to be in a conference tournament. We're going to be in an NCAA tournament too, possibly even host. But those are kind of bonuses to me, the regular season, and that ability, when you said, to lose a game and bounce back, that's a good quality too that I've always appreciated.
And Shane, that was, I believe, your third loss since your freshman year. I'm pretty sure. So you've done a lot of winning since you've been here at NSU. Kind of, how would you say that loss affected you personally?
Personally, I don't know how it affected me personally, but as a team, we took it as a lesson, right? Not a loss, it's a lesson. I know that's a thing that people say, but I think it really was. I think we needed it. I think it humbled us a little bit, and Coach said it last week. You know, we were ranked preseason, and nobody knew how we would play together, and that ranking was just based off last year's team and the success that we've had in previous years. But I think that as the years gone on, we have proven that we're a solid team, and I mean, we're number one in the country right now. So,
And Coach,
go ahead.
no, you can finish if you have.
I'm finished.
And Coach, last weekend you guys, you played Southern again. You won in convincing fashion. Again, looked like a well-oiled machine. What was the message going into that game to your team?
I don't know. We really. I'm not big. I'm really on so many cliches and stuff going in, and it wasn't like remember the Alamo or anything. From the previous game that we had played. I don't know, Shane. What was the message going into that game with Florida Southern?
At home?
Yeah.
I mean, every game is we want to win, right? But every year I've been here, except for it feels like it. I was just talking about this last week, but it feels like we split with Southern every year, although we went undefeated twice. But it's always a battle with them, and it's one that we, especially at home, that we want to win really bad. So, I mean, going into it feels personal.
And I'm sure there was a message there. I'll be honest with you. I don't make up big pregame speeches. I usually tell the guys what's on my mind and my heart. And they don't see it, but I'm more emotional than they probably see. And whatever I felt that day going into that game, my guess is they probably felt close to the same because we're a team. And I've always tried to think that my thoughts are pretty close to their thoughts, how they felt about the loss. We're in this together. So I probably just was reiterating whatever was on their mind in the locker room. And one thing's for sure, they knew it was a big game. They knew we'd beat them before. They wanted to win really bad. That's usually enough to carry you on the court and make you play good basketball.
And Shane, like I said before, you're kind of reaching the latter end of your career. Have you thought about life after NSU basketball, or you haven't really given much thought yet?
Of course I have. I don't know what I'm going to do. I really don't. I want to play basketball as long as I can. That's the dream, right? I've been working my whole life to play. So if I can play after, I will. But if not, I'll do something with the great education I've got here at NSU. So
like a real job?
A real job. yeah.
Oh, boy.
To the workforce.
I've yet to have to do the real job thing, so I don't know.
And lastly, Coach, looking ahead kind of to the conference playoffs starting next week, what can we expect to see from your team come Tuesday night?
Boy, this year, the teams that are going to be in it, the 8 teams that are going to be in it, are all pretty much the same. We're either going to play Berry, Eckerd, or Tech in the first round. Tech has beat us. Eckerd on our own home court was a 1-point game with a minute to go. And Berry, as they played us tough the other day without 2 of their starters, and they're now back. Those are great teams, so we better be ready to go. I really don't believe, no matter how this shakes out, that it's not going to be the type of tournament where you play an easy team and a tougher team in the big game. I think if we win it, all 3 games will be against the same caliber of team. It's going to be an even playing field. We just need to get ourselves mentally prepared to go out and play as hard as we can. We play a lot of guys, and right now, it's one of the few times this year where everybody's healthy or close. Everybody's playing anyway, and I think we need to kind of use that to our advantage.
And Coach Crutchfield, Shane, appreciate you guys for coming on. Thank you to Quarterdeck for allowing us to be here. We'll be back shortly with our final guest. And we're back here at Quarterdeck. I'm with head women's basketball coach LeAnn Freeland-Curry and NSU guard India Shepard. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good. I know you guys volunteer at Kid. How was that today?
It was fun. It was our last day actually, so we wrapped it up and the kids were excited. It's kind of sad though because our graduating seniors, they won't be working with them again obviously. In the 5th grade group, they graduate from KID as well, so then we don't get to work with them again. So it's kind of sad, but Mr. Kevin did a great job. He had some lemonade and some cake and everything for everyone to celebrate the year. So
Yeah.
we'll do it again next year.
Can you tell us a little about that experience and how that was this year?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Kid Inc. is an after-school program for underprivileged kids in the Fort Lauderdale area. It's down in Wilton Manors, and they have about, gosh, how many kids? There's newborns through 5th grade, so there are, I don't know how many kids, probably 500 kids plus who
Yeah.
are in the program.
Yeah, probably 500.
Yeah. And so we go down and we work with them, we mentor them, and play basketball with them. We started in September, and then we just finished up right now. So it's been quite a commitment, and the girls were fantastic. The kids love it. India was a favorite, as you might expect. The kids all loved India. Yeah.
And I mean, India, how would you say your experience was like doing that as an athlete?
My experience, it was great, actually. The kids were there. They were great. They listened. They were highly focused. They were trying, even the ones that haven't touched the ball in a long time. But, it was hard. Some was complaining, but they still tried. They kept, they kept giving it all. So.
And Coach Freeland-Curry, since we last spoke in November, I mean, you guys started the season with a couple losses, changed gears, rattled off a 20-game win streak. Kind of talk to me about like what adjustments were made early in the season to kind of lead to that win streak.
Well, I think we talked about it as a team. I think the players just made a decision. We have clearly a lot of talent. At that time when we were 2-3, we just weren't clicking very well. The players did a great job coming together, having some open conversations, and made a commitment to each other to, respect each other and go out and play hard and play together. And you can see what the results have been. I mean, we're 22-4, and went on a 20-game win streak. Unfortunately, that ended yesterday with a tough loss, but we're refocused and we're excited about postseason play. I think we've got a great opportunity to make some noise and continue to play deep into March.
In India, your role has increased immensely this season. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about like what you did in the off season to kind of grow your game as a player going into this year?
What I did in the off season was, work on like being confident in my skills because I know I can play like really good. I just have to, build that confidence, have motivation, and know that my teammates trust me in times like that. So that would motivate me to like change my role.
And Coach, comparing last year's team and this year's team, I feel like you guys have kind of adapted to a bit of a faster playing style this season. Kind of what led to that change?
Well, it's all about personnel. We recruit the best players we can find, and then we make the most of the group we have. And we're very fast. We're super athletic. India is one of the fastest guards in the league, along with Nicole Scales, Kaylin Terrell, and Kiara Grant. So we have to use that speed in the full court to wear teams down. It was effective yesterday, even against Tampa, even though they didn't quite work out for us. We were a player short, but. Overall, I mean, we have a couple different styles of play, as you can see. Sometimes we have to slow it down a little bit when we were playing a Morgan Kane and Aubrey step and going more of a 3-out, 2-in, and then we can speed things up and go 5-out or even 4-out, 1-in. So we have an ever-changing style throughout games and against whoever we're playing. So we're very diverse. We've got a lot of different types of players that can play different ways. I mean, we shot lights out. I don't know if you saw that yesterday, but we hit 16 threes yesterday. And, we can do a little bit of everything. I think that's why we're kind of scary to most teams when they have to play us.
And kind of how would you say the returners and the newcomers kind of adapted to that playing style?
I think that's exactly the style of play that India likes, the style of play our newcomers like. So, yeah, it wasn't really much of an adjustment. We picked up full a little bit last season, but we didn't have the depth or the speed overall. So with Nicole Scales and Kaylin Terrell, we were able to kind of speed things up a little bit and apply more pressure in the full court. They have high motors too. When you want to extend in the full court, you got to have players who have that toughness and the high motor. And the 4 of them have super high motors. They really don't get tired very much. You can see that.
Yeah. And India, you kind of talked to us a little bit about kind of what you did to kind of better your game going into this year. Are there some like goals that you set out for yourself personally or for the team as well going into this season?
I would say for the team is, play as hard as you could. Like, some of us, this is our last year, some are just getting here, but overall, like, play hard every game. Like, you never know the outcome. Like, we all trying to win a championship here. We all want to get a ring. We all want to be the best team out there. So, yeah.
And during that 20-game win streak, you guys have had quite a few close matchups, overtime matchups, and you guys have been behind. You came back. Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about your team's resiliency during those games and kind of what pushed them through to secure those victories during that streak?
Yeah, I think it's just toughness and grit and fight. Our players do a great job every day. They're not. I haven't gotten mad once this season, and the only time I get mad is when I feel like the team's not trying as hard as they could. And this is a team. I know India. She's a tough player. She's tough-minded, works hard always. But there have been over the years, even with the teams India's been on, I've been very frustrated because I felt like they could give more. They, want it more, but you can't teach that. You can't want it more than them. But this is a group who came in and kind of looked at each other, was like, yeah, let's do this, and it's priceless. They've been consistent. They work hard. I've had so many compliments from our fans, and some of them are here tonight, woo, about how hard this team plays and how gritty they are, and that makes me proud because that's what we want. Even last night when we lost the game, I told them after the game, I'm like, guys, I'm proud of you. I mean, that was a tough loss, but we fought hard. We got down. We fought back. I could go on about some other things in the game I wasn't so happy about, but I can't control those things. But we're excited to see Tampa again. We will say that, right?
Yep.
We're ready. We'll be ready.
In India, obviously with several new faces, coming to the team this year, I mean, how would you say as like a player, that you guys kind of built chemistry?
Um, I would say that, getting to know each other, like spending time outside of the court, like going to the beach together, eating together, just learning about our personal lives and like what does this player like and what does she like. It's really common.
Yeah.
And coach, what would you say you learned about your team? Obviously, we talked about the resiliency. What else would you say that you learned about your team during that win streak, or just the season overall so far up to this point?
Well, I just think we're tough.
Yeah.
And I can't teach that. That's one thing that, we recruited that with this recruiting class. We brought in 6 new players, and they've been fantastic. I still think we can get more out of a couple of them. I think they're still trying to find their way a little bit. But we've had tremendous performances by our freshman, Kaylin Terrell. India stepped up in a big way, and I've told India since day one she had more to give, right, India?
Yep.
I was like, she is, but she's showing it right now, and that's what you want, from a coach to a player. You want them to have fun in the end. You want them to put it all out there, and she had her best game last night she ever had. Dropped 20 points. How
Big
many?
time 3.
Yeah, big time shots throughout actually kept us in the game, and that's a championship level performance, and that's what I said. That was like a championship game last night. We just happened to be on their home floor. Couple calls didn't go our way, but the grit and the toughness. I mean, they're just a fun group to watch, a fun group to coach, and I'm really proud of the way we've handled the whole season. We've had a lot of adversity, starting with a 2-3 start, starting with some personnel changes. Some sickness, some injury. Morgan Kane breaks her finger. She was a part of the equation early, broke her finger, then we didn't get to see her again until January. So, we just kept, rolling with the punches, and the toughness and the resilience is just amazing. And I think that's going to serve us well late, even with the loss yesterday. I think we're going to get better because of it.
And Saturday is senior day. I just want to know, like, what do these 5 seniors mean to you? India, Nicole, Mia, Kiara, Morgan, kind of what do they mean to you and the NSU women's basketball program?
Yeah, well, obviously they mean a lot, especially when you have a season like this. From a coaching standpoint, you really don't want it to end. So, they mean a lot. We're trying to convince India to play one more year, but she's got it in her mind. She wants to move on with her life, so we're supporting her through that. And I get that. It's sometimes it's time to move on. But, India means a lot just because she's been with us for so long. She's been with us for 4 years and been a major impact player for 3 seasons. The COVID year doesn't count. We didn't do anything that year. But all the players, Nicole Scales with 1 year, Morgan Kane for 1 year. Kiara's been here, I believe, for 4. She came in about the same time with you, right? Yeah. So, and she means a lot, too. She's been a part of a lot of wins. And we're excited she's healthy and playing well right now, too. But yeah, and Mia. Unfortunately, Mia is not playing this season, but she's been a big part of it all along as well. So, it's tough. Senior day, I'm not a big fan of, especially when you have postseason play. But I don't. This team, we're not an emotional team.
Yeah.
We're not. We're really not. We're a business. So I know. Once we do the whole senior shebang at the beginning, it's going to be time to play basketball. And we're really excited because we know we have a lot of postseason ahead of us. She and I were talking about that on the way here as, who we're going to be matched up with in the NCAAs, who are we going to be matched up next week in the conference tournament. I'm just really excited, too, that we have the opportunity to host next week.
In India, Coach kind of just touched on, because I wasn't sure if you're going to take the COVID year or not, but, Coach touched on the fact that this is probably your last season as an NSU Shark. So, obviously, your play has been spectacular as of late, career-high 20 points against Tampa. So, kind of talk to me a little bit about, what does it mean to you to be able to step up so big for your team in some critical games?
Yeah, it means a lot because, I know, the group of girls that we have, they want to win badly. They came to NSU to get a ring, to win. So, me being there for 4 years, I had to step my game. I'm like, okay, the newcomers, I don't think they have a ring yet, but they want to get a ring at the school that we're at. They got recruited for a reason, and some of them returning, we trying to show them what our SSC is like and how tough it is. And they're trying to get them going.
Yeah. They kind of talked to us a little bit about, if this is your last year, what about what your NSU career meant to you? You've been here for, 3-4 years? You said COVID year.
4 years, counting the COVID
count.
year. That's a bizarre time, but yes.
So kind of what does your NSU career mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. I greatly appreciate the offer, the opportunity that you gave me, Coach. I greatly appreciate meeting, new faces, new personalities. It was a time. It was a great time.
Yeah, she was, when we recruited her, it was pretty evident she was the person we wanted. She was so tough and dominated the games we saw her play, and I'm excited to see what she can do come to fruition here as she ends her career. It's really exciting time.
And lastly, looking ahead to the conference playoffs starting next week, Coach, what can we expect to see from your team come Tuesday night?
Well, today, we got off the bus last night at midnight. Everybody's pretty mad. I know, I'm looking at my assistants. We're all still mad. We were mad all day. Doesn't help. But we go into practice today at 12, and we're so focused. It's like nothing even happened. And that's why I like this team, because we're very business-oriented. It's like, all right, let's go. Next up, St. Leo. It's just – and those are championship teams. The teams that don't dwell in the past, they literally, okay, next opportunity. Let's be better because of that loss. And, I do really believe that we're going to be ready. The focus, the determination is there.
Well, Coach Freeland-Curry, India, thank you for coming on. Thank you to Quarterdeck. Shark fans, come to the Tank this Saturday as basketball closes out the regular season against St. Leo. Women's tip-off at 2 p.m., men tip-off at 4. Celebrate first responders and military personnel at the game and all Shark seniors during a pregame ceremony. The first round of Sunshine State Conference Tournament will start Tuesday, March 5th, with the women's game starting at 5:30 p.m., followed by the men's game at 7:30 p.m. at the Rick Case Arena. Tickets are on sale now. We'll see you guys there.